This week on Synergy Spotlight, we're super excited to have Sophia Samuels. She is a life mastery consultant. Now, what a wonderful thing to be. And she offers life strategies for success, personal and business transformation for higher levels of achievement. We're going to hear more about her work and we'll have a chance to ask some questions. So from Missoula, Montana, I'd like to welcome Sophia Samuels.
Thank you very kindly. I am delighted to have this opportunity to share a little bit about myself and what I do. Now, given that I was absent last week for Julia's presentation, I don't have a model to follow, but I will tell you this. I'm going to come from my heart and I will share with you what I have to share with you. And then I'm open to responding to any of your questions. So to begin with, I thought I'd let you know that when I was born into this world, from my earliest memories, I knew that I would spend my life in service provision. And I had an idea from very early childhood about what I would do, but life has presented so many twists and turns. You know, I lived in Argentina for a while, and there's this saying that man proposes, but God disposes. And I certainly have found that to be true all of my life. So anyway, what I ended up doing was not exactly what I thought I would do, but it was still in service provision. And I decided that I would become educated in the field of being able to help people basically blossom in themselves, find their core, find their center, find the energy within them that can heal and can progress an individual to where he or she would want to go. So I chose the field. I started out in child development and family relations because that's the basis of our lives. We would start out life as children. And our childhood is eminently influenced by family and relations. And so I started out in that area. I moved to counseling, and then I got a doctorate in counseling psychology with a clinical emphasis. And then after I graduated with my doctorate degree, I started working as a clinical psychologist in a practice with other clinical psychologists. And over the years, the one thing that was always almost like an irritant, if you will, like the sand in a clam that rubs and rubs and rubs until that beautiful pearl emerges and then continues to grow from the irritation. I found myself deeply irritated on lots of levels in the field of psychology, principally because psychology deals with the problems of a person's life. That is the focus, finding ways to mitigate what is going wrong in a person's life. So it was very much geared toward pathology and labeling and medicating. And I got to a point, I was always in trouble with the doctors. I was always fighting the doctors. But I eventually got to the point where I said, enough, I've got to figure out something else to do. So I became a professor. And that way I was in charge of what was being delivered to my graduate students. I was a professor of graduate students. And then my mother, in her advanced years, moved to Nebraska, where I was living at the time. And she moved there because she knew she could count on me to take care of her. And after a while, I decided I would go back into clinical practice, but the care of my mother pretty muchly consumed my life. And for many years, every single time I approached that door to go back into clinical practice, she had a crisis. And so after so many years, I started wondering if the universe wasn't knocking at my door and saying, it's time for you to do something different. But I wasn't getting that message because I was locked into my paradigm. This is what you are about. This is what you do. This is what you're good at. This is where your talents are. And I'm staying. Well, then in the year 2011, I had still not returned to practice because I was in the care of my mother. And then my sister, just 15 months younger than myself, I apologize for that. I apologize. Give me just a second. Call from.
I like the nice jazzy tune.
I thought
That
it was
a nice
very
jazzy
groovy,
tune.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon. I meant to turn this off and forgot all about it.
Don't worry, Sophia. It was a groovy tune.
It was a groovy tune. And now we all know that about you. So this is also revelatory. I love it.
Thank you. Well, my sister, 15 months younger than myself, went down to Mexico, to the area where we grew up. We grew up on the Texas-Mexico border. And she had a piece of land down there, and she went down to sell that land. And she was being dogged by criminals. And as she was crossing the border on August the 18th, just a few days ago, 7 years ago, she was abducted, and all indications are that her life was taken by these criminals. She also had a lot of money on her because the tax assessor in the Mexican town where her piece of land was said that she had to come with cash to pay the taxes before she could sell her land. So she procured the cash, went back across into Mexico. She procured cash in Texas, went back across Mexico, then came back in. And on entry, once again, that was the end of my sister. And when that happened, I said I threw my hands in the air. I said, I give up. I get it. I understand. So I did not pursue psychology anymore after that. The following, just 10 months later, my beloved mother was in a nursing home, and contrary to my directives to the doctor, she overrode me and gave my mother medication that put her into a coma for 3 days and 3 nights before she made her journey. So that was another horrific loss. And I am literally in the world without family now. I mean, I have no family left. But anyway, when those two incidents happened so close to each other, and I had already lost another brother in 1991, I went into 3 years of the dark night of the soul. I wanted nothing to do with life. I wanted nothing to do with anything. And basically, I sequestered myself and grieved and grieved and grieved and grieved for 3 years. And then I decided that their loss did not have to mean my death as well. In other words, the life of a living dead person. So I started thinking and opening my mind to where and how I could be of service, how I can make a difference in other people's lives, because that's all I've wanted to do all my life. And this path of life coaching under the auspice of transformational life mastery consultant, is what I decided to pursue. And the reason that I picked this particular training area amidst the there are so many, it's mind-boggling. But the reason that I chose this particular path was because interwoven in the programs and teachings are spiritual principles that have literally everything to do with our ability to be successful in life, whether it's as an individual, as a corporation, as a nation, as a community. It doesn't matter, because these are living, eternal principles that were given to us for the purpose of guiding our lives to the highest and best people that we are capable of becoming. And if you will remember, and I'm not preaching. That's one thing I want to say right now. What I do, what I teach, what I believe, and what I share has nothing to do with orthodoxy. It has nothing in the world to do with dogma. It has nothing to do with proselytizing. Nothing. It has solely to do with the principles that we were given to guide us in life, through life, for our greatest advantage and our greatest advancement. So I have been thrilled to have processed through the Life Mastery Institute and to be a Life Mastery consultant. Now, while I am not a total conformist to anything in the world, to be very honest with you, I have my own ideas and I input my own knowledge and background, and I'm always and forever studying. I put together what I have learned through the Life Mastery Institute with what I have learned throughout my life. I've been a student of the sacred paths in life all of my life. I mean, the sum total of my life. And so I have a very broad background, I think, as well as a very focused background in the area of spirituality and life, because I've dealt with it on so many levels. And I have worked with so many people. I don't know that there is much in the way of life issues that I haven't dealt with in my service provision. But anyway, now I don't deal with life on the downside. The downside is, the upside, which is, let's deal with the problems. Let's deal with what's wrong with you. Let's deal with how we can label you and blah, blah, blah. Rather, now I'm on the downside, and the downside is, what makes you happy? Let's find what makes you happy. Let's help you take who you are, how you are, what you love, and let's put that into motion with these teachings and these principles and get you to where you would most want to be, living the life that you would most want to live. And so that, my dear sisters, is what brought me into this arena of life mastery, transformational life coaching.
I have to jump in with my deep honoring and sympathy for your losses.
Thank you.
That was profound, and I'm so sorry that you had to experience that.
Thank you, Lisa, very, very much.
Well, and then look at you for turning it into the lotus from the mud. That's honor that.
Thank you. In response to your beautiful comments and very supportive and loving comments, I asked myself for years, why? Why? But on the other side of the entire personal transformation that I had to go through in order to keep going, I have come to realize that our lives and whatever we go through is given to us in order to help make us stronger, to shape us, to lead us, to lift us into the next higher level of our becoming. There is no such thing as something for nothing. There are no accidents in life. And so I have accepted and embraced the way of the divine as it has touched my life. Thank you.
That's just so immensely powerful, Sophia. And if we can just bring an iota of that, each of us, into our lives, then that, that'll set us on a much more positive course, I think. I would like to ask you, when you were talking about your dark night of the soul and then going on to do the life mastery course so that you could then teach those principles specifically, do you feel that your recovery was because of doing that course, or was it because of making the decision that you were going to take those positive steps?
Well, thank you for asking that question. I had gotten to a point in my life, it was December the 24th of 2014. And on that day, I said, it is time to move forward. I did not know anything about the Life Mastery Institute, but I had been going to the computer time after time looking for a path wherein I could follow and become really a spiritual coach, not necessarily life mastery. But the truth is, there is no such thing as spiritual without life. That's the only way we can find the spiritual. But on that day, I opened my computer once again, and as I lived this happen, I went to the site of spiritual coaching, and bam, if Life Mastery Institute did not jump out right in my face, truly it did. And I know that the divine works in so many ways to talk to us, teach us, touch us. And so I got on the phone that day and I talked to one of their counselors. I got information. She said she'd give me 24 hours. Well, I tried to call her on the 25th. She wasn't available. So on the 26th, I called her and said, I'm in. That's how it happened. I was already ready. I had reached the end of my rope in my dark night of the soul, in my total self-sequestering from the rest of life. So I was ready to move. And I think that I had a lot of affirmations from the world of spirit and divine as to, yes, this is right, move on now.
Who else has a question for Sophia?
Well, I'll ask a question. Sophia, how long have you taken on clients? Or are you beginning to take on clients, or have you already started that process?
I've already started taking on clients. However, I have to say that since March and my weekly global radio show.
What? You just did that whole thing and didn't mention your weekly global radio show?
There's a lot. Sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Sorry about that. Listen, that too has been a mind-blowing experience. Utterly mind-blowing. But anyway, I started doing my weekly global radio shows, and that has literally eaten up my life, making it impossible for me to go out and do workshops and do webinars and so forth in order to generate clients, more clients. So I have 7 more shows before my contract is fulfilled. And speaking of that, I have a big ask and a big give. So let me just tell you that right now. And then I'm open to any other questions. First of all, here's my big give. I wrote a very, very small ebook called Essential Qualities to Live a More Fulfilling Life. And I'd like to offer that to each of you. And if you have something to write with, I will give you, there are 3 areas wherein you can pick this up. And I really do think you're going to enjoy this reading. Are you ready? If you want to receive this via text the word qualities, QUALITIES, plural, lowercase, to this number, 614-610-1122. Or you can go to your search engine and type in essentialqualities.net, and that will pull it up. Or you can go to my website at www.highwaytoboundless.com, and on my welcome page, you will see, I don't know whether you can see this or not. Yeah, you can. You will see 2 images like this. Just click on the image and it will be downloaded to you.
What's your personal website again?
www.highwaytoboundless. That's the name of my business, except it's my website is all one word, lowercase, but my business name is H-I-G-H, second word way, W-A-Y, third word to, T-O, fourth, Boundless, all starting with a capital letter. Highway to Boundless, and I am an LLC. Okay?
Neat, but I still do actually want to hear about this radio show.
I'm happy to tell you. Let me just say, here's my big ask now. I am going to ask each of you to please listen to radio show 15, 16, or 17. And if you like what you hear, post a comment, and I'm going to tell you how to get on my radio show site. It's out of New York. And here is how you get to it. It's boldbravemedia.com/shows, SHOWS/high-way-to-boundless. And when you click onto that, immediately my show banner will come up. You'll see my banner go down just a short ways. On the left-hand side, you'll say learn more. You'll click on that little green box and you'll see my credentialing information about me, and you'll see all of my archive shows. But the 3 that because these are the 3 latest, and I would love it if you would at least listen to one of them. And if you like it, say so. And if you want to say something to me personally about that show, don't hesitate. I'm very open to ideas, criticisms, constructive criticism, any comments that you might have. So that is my ask. Bold Brave Media is one word, all in lowercase, .com/shows/high-way-to-boundless. Now,
Sophia?
Yes, Judy.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little delayed, but I'm enjoying this so much. So Sophia, not knowing what the first part of your conversation was, I hope this is a timely question. So I heard you say about the radio show that it's been something that has occupied a lot of your time,
Mhm.
where you haven't had as much opportunity to do the clients, but are you getting clients because you're doing the radio show?
As of right now, no. I'm going to say it in this way: the clients who are interested have not called in yet.
Okay, I thought maybe because I hear you on the radio, then they seek you out for more in-depth spiritual coaching, and
Mhm.
wondered if you were finding that to be kind of hand in glove.
Not necessarily, but this is one thing that I know about human nature. In order for one to move from where one is to a greater or different or more elevated space in life requires change.
Mm-hmm.
People don't like change. And that's what my radio shows have been about. Not just change, but what it takes to change. And I have not at all dropped the idea that I will not get clients. It just takes people a while. They need to be ready. And so I believe that if there are people out there, the last I heard, I had a following, and this has been 6 weeks ago, over 11,000 listeners. I don't know what it is today because it has progressively gone up and up and up. I don't know what it is today, but I do know that there is interest. And when people are ready, if they're willing to commit and willing to do their part and are willing to stay the course, they're going to come through. I know it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a if you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. If
Well,
they like the ball game.
yeah. And what one of my follow-up questions, my thought was, I had an intuitive sense when you were saying it's occupying all of your time,
Mhm.
that you're in the midst of deciding how that will look in the future for you. And so I wondered if there was some bigger trade-off or some integrated factors with the radio show, and your longing to build the spiritual coaching element of it, or maybe that's kind of a conscientious shift that will be, in your future decision making, or however spirit leads you. Does that
Well,
make sense?
it absolutely does, Judy. In December of 2016, I was contacted by another radio show in New York, and they offered me 2 segments at 2-hour segments at 2 different times in the month of December of that year. When I finished doing that show, I thought for sure I was going to have people calling me, but nothing. And then that was in December of 16. In October of 17, I got a call from this radio station that had heard my program from that radio station and said, we really want you. I mean, they were very dogged. They were persistent. We really want you to do a radio show. Have your own radio show. 6 months. Blah, blah, blah. And I was very reluctant to do it because I knew it was going to take me away from focusing on getting my clients. But when you hear my radio shows, you will hear that it's not just any old radio show. It's a teaching radio show. And it took me a month to say yes to them. But what I ultimately decided was, if this is a way to get the message out to the world about what I have to offer, even if nobody ever contacts me, what I share is truly of eternal value, and it applies to everybody on the planet. Number one. Number two, I have the intention of writing a book. And so I thought, okay, I may and may not get clients. I don't know. But what this will do is push me, not push me. It will, pardon me?
Express.
Facilitate my writing for a while before I jump into that book. So those are the reasons, Judy, behind
Okay.
my doing the radio show.
Okay. Thank you, Sophia.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't even imagine doing a radio show. I'm just completely enamored in what that must be like.
I never would have imagined it in a million years, ever. If I had the time, I could just tell you some ear-burning stories about me and what brought me to this point, and just the incredible experiences I've had that I would have never expected, and how these principles that I talk about have basically blossomed through the work that I've been allowed to do.
Part of your journey.
It's absolutely part of my journey. Yes. Thank you.
And I also want to, I want to ask a question, and I also want to make just a comment. Well, first I'll make the comment. So when you're talking about how this radio show might lead to you, not might lead to you writing a book, you already, it sounds like you're already
Right.
on that path, but you know, just a little kind of suggestion. One thing you could do is transcribe your shows, and this way your book is already half written, because right, like, so it's kind of like just, you know, just a little suggestions how to save time if that's something you're interested in. And my question is, I'm actually very curious, you know, as you were talking, could you take us through like how you work with people? Because I'm very, I don't know, like I'm very curious to have kind of like to almost have this visual, you know, like how does it progress? Let's say you do a coaching session, or at some point, I don't know, whenever you do like workshops, like what can people expect when they work with you?
All righty. The first thing that an individual who decides to work with me receives is a either CDs or online digital programs that run for 3 months, every single week for 3 months. The end of it's not heavy duty, but it causes a person to get in touch with their thoughts, their feelings, what they desire, what they long for, their pains, things like that. I don't see that information. This is just for the client. On top of that, every week I have a 1-hour coaching session, unless the client opts for 2 hours of coaching every week. And so this goes on for the entire month. And I am available to answer questions, to process, I'm right there the whole time. And where we go is sooner or later, if not immediately, the client has an idea of what he or she wants. And then over that 3-month period, those seeds are planted. Some people move beyond the seed stage, and they come up above ground, and their leaves start to come out, you know. So I offer enough programs to cover an entire year, but we go one at a time. And so they're all created to help the individual and I'm there every single week on those coaching calls, but they're created to take the individual beyond where they are to where they want to go.
It sounds great. I really like, especially the part. It's kind of sounds like it's what is the word? Like it's not a whole huge 1 year long kind of thing.
Right.
It's sequence. I think
It can be sequential. It's segmental. You know,
Yes.
so both you're right in both words. That's correct.
Great. Sounds really good. Sounds like
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Marianne, were you getting ready to ask a question at some point, or had you? Hello.
I'm not sure I have a question. I did have one thing I wanted to say was that, and this was even before I knew you had people phoning you up, being very dogged about you doing a radio show. But that then made sense. I was like, I did want to say that when you talk, and especially like as you shared your story, it was so there's such clarity and such, I don't know, I was like, zing, I want to listen, and it was so easy.
Thank you.
And a very non-linear person, but somehow there's linear, which is very, and there's when it's just very aligned and coming from the core and flowing. And I really enjoy the way you speak and the way you communicate, like impart from your soul. So I wanted to say that because it was really, and also just that I suppose I'm seeing where things in my life and my own intentions for bringing the things I do have the spiritual principles in their own way embedded in them with this and bringing it together. And so just hearing you share was really inspiring, and I'm so excited. I'm really looking forward to going and finding a radio show. I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
That was all so beautiful. Is there anything else anyone would like to add or ask of Sophia?
Sophia, do people call into the radio show?
You know, I have not opened it up for call-ins, but believe it or not, that you ask a good question. I'm opening the lines up next Thursday. My radio shows are every Thursday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. But they're always archived. But next Thursday, for the first time, I'm opening up my lines for people to call in, and I will do that one more time in the month of September and do it again. My intention is to take my radio shows and I'm going to start to weave them all together.
What do you mean, take them and weave them all together?
Well, every show is different. Every show talks about some different aspect
Okay.
growth and development and life and principles. I even talk about the galaxies, astronomy, science, literature, spirituality. I mean, I you'll see.
So, Sophia,
Yes.
I'm thinking about the other radio shows I listen to, which isn't very often, but most of them seem like they have a producer that
Yes.
screens the calls or gets the caller ready? Will you just kind of take the raw calls, raw meaning unfiltered, so to speak, and just kind of roll with it?
You know something, Judy, this is going to be my first attempt at it. Yes, it is. It'll be a first time for me.
Okay.
I know there are a lot of people out there whose interest is not necessarily to learn and share, but to dig and poke and knock and you try to get a person off balance.
Right.
I'm so aware of that, and so but nonetheless, I had already determined that once this month and once next month, and I will continue other than those times with the modus operandi.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Thank you. Thanks for asking that
Yeah.
question.
And spirit will guide you when you get the pokers, you know, the sticklers or whatever, however they show up. Spirit will guide you, and that will be more education for your viewers of how to address those situations when we have them in everyday life, right?
Right. Very true.
So ease and grace, ease and grace.
Thank you very kindly. Thank you.
And I wanted actually to ask another question. Do
Go
we
ahead.
stop time? Is that good? I'm very curious because I don't necessarily, I'm not thinking of starting my own show at this point, but I'm actually really curious, like how, because you're saying it's taking up a lot of your time.
Mhm.
Can you talk a bit about like what is this time is taken up with? Like what does it take to actually, do a show?
Well, my show runs for an hour, but I talk for just a little better than 45 minutes throughout that hour. I do a lot of research. I delve into a lot of different material, and then I bring it all together to address the theme of that particular show. And so this is, it takes an enormous amount of time to put together something that I have to tell you,
No.
I'm a perfectionist and I'm obsessive compulsive, and I don't mind admitting to that. And so when I do my shows, I want them to be as perfect as they possibly can. You'll hear me stumble occasionally, but not much. I used to stumble a lot more. But anyway, that's why it takes so much time for me. For other people, they shoot from the hip. It's ad lib, if you will. And they have guests and they have people coming in and out. But I wanted my show to be a teaching show because I have a message for whoever in the world is open to listening.
It sounds like it's like you're putting your heart and soul into it.
Absolutely every week. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you.
I just two things that just pop into my awareness. One was when you were talking about the people phoning up, and I'm like, wow, that's so moving that you're going to be opening the phone lines. And I was reminded of that thing that so I don't know if it's useful, but I think it was in that I heard Marianne Williamson say, and she was describing a situation, and she said, oh, what's really going on is that this person saying, hello, will you love me? And this person over here is saying, hello, will you love me? No matter what it looks like. And I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I just thought of it when these people phone up and they're trying to answer. They're actually going, please love me, which I'm sure you know, but that just came to me. And as it did, I thought of the incredible beauty and the privilege of that position that you're in. And what an honor it is to hear that, for us to hear you now, and also for those clients who get to speak to you. And then I did have another thing. I suddenly thought, oh, maybe you're, and who knows, but I just say what I suddenly saw you as perhaps one of those radio coachy I don't know where the calls will develop, but I kind of saw something, and I thought maybe there's your direction. That is something really in that where you connect via this phone line thing, and it could be huge. I've gone a little bit less clear than you, Sophia.
Thank you, Marianne.
So first of all, I must apologise because I have something in the oven, and I was thinking, oh my God, it's going to burn, and I need to go and check it. So I abruptly left. But well, first of all, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Sophia for her absolutely inspirational presentation. I thought it was fantastic. I absolutely loved listening to your story and what you've gone through, and I just absolutely admire you for everything that you've done. I think you're an amazing person. Lots of love to you, and I wish you every success in your radio. I can't wait to hear you on the radio and for your future projects. I think it's just amazing what you're looking to achieve.
Beautiful. Thank you so much,
That is one
Sophia.
of the
It's
things I
really
forgot.
fascinating hearing all about your life leading up to the present day. And I love, there's something you've put on your profile on the Synergy website about future, was it something future, it was almost like future history or something like that, but where you said you were writing your book, and I thought it was
Future accomplishments.
future accomplishments. I love that. This is what we all need
Yes.
in our profile, is future accomplishments. Let's all put that. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're very welcome. Thank
It's
you.
really nice to get to know you.
Future
Thank-
accomplishment. Thank you.